A week later, the line on Pennsylvania Avenue was 40 people long at 5 in the afternoon, and not one of them had a phone out. Mr. Aguirre had told the man at the laundromat. The man at the laundromat had told the women at the bus stop. The women had told their daughters. The daughters had told their sons. By Thursday, 3 abuelas had brought Marcus stock pots they wanted him to use. By Friday, the woman who had given him the episode had brought her own grandmother's molkajete, 200 years old, and insisted Marcus borrow it. He was making $900 a day off bowls he priced at $12, feeding 15 people for free at the end of every service, sleeping in the truck because Brisket would not eat unless Marcus was in the cab. The food was unmistakably his. Brisket coached nothing. The cat watched, mostly. Sometimes he made small, dry comments about salt levels. Mostly he slept on the passenger seat, with his eyes half open, and an expression Henry, who had begun driving down from Wilshire every night, described dryly as retired. On the 8th night, Brisket opened both eyes at sundown.
Marcus, look up.
A black SUV with tinted windows pulled to the curb behind the truck. The back door opened. Aria stepped out. She was wearing a navy column dress Marcus had never seen. Hair up, eyes carefully made up not for a camera, for a dinner. On her left hand, the actual engagement ring hand. This time she wore a vintage emerald. Marcus, behind the truck window, set down the ladle very quietly. Aria walked up with the slow, careful steps of a woman who had not been allowed to come here, who had snuck out of a Beverly Hills dinner for 90 minutes, who had a cover to maintain. She did not smile. She said, evenly, loud enough for the SUV driver behind her to hear,
Marcus Reeves. I am here to confirm I am marrying Damien Voss next month. I would appreciate it if you stopped contacting me.
Then, in a whisper, only Marcus could hear,
2 more days. Don't break.
She turned and walked back to the SUV. The SUV pulled away. Marcus woke up at 5 in the morning in the cab of the truck, with sunflowers ghosting through the windshield. The passenger seat was empty. The cat bed was empty. The blanket on top of the cat bed was empty. In a way blankets are not supposed to be. He sat up so fast, his skull hit the cab roof with the sound of a hollow gourd. The next 20 minutes happened in the wrong order under the chassis, with a flashlight that kept dying, through the prep counter on hands and knees, into the cooler twice because he could not believe the cat would do that, and once more because he hadn't done it thoroughly enough. The laundromat got searched by a sleepy teenage attendant who said, "Un gato?" with the polite confusion of someone being asked, at 5:30 a.m., the wrong category of question. Mr. Aguirre, in pajamas and a Dodgers cap, dug through his garage. The woman with the mocha hate walked her alley with a tortilla held out in front of her, calling "kitty, kitty," in the voice of a woman who had never in her life addressed a cat. No orange cat. On the dashboard where Brisket had been sleeping, a small dark smear that was not jam. Marcus called Henry. Henry was already driving over. He called Aria, instinct overriding the cover. The call did not even ring. He had been blocked. He drove the truck back to his apartment, climbed 4 flights, 2 at a time, searched every room, every closet, under the bed, the button chest, the bread bin he hadn't opened since the funeral. No orange cat. On the kitchen table, folded once, sat a single sheet of cream paper covered in a handwriting so small and scratched and deliberate that Marcus realized, with a small lurch, the cat had been practicing. It said, "Marcus, I have gone somewhere quiet. Do not stop cooking. Do not break Aria's cover. We will know in 72 hours whether she has the letter. Trust me. A.L." Marcus sat down on the kitchen floor. A laugh came out of him, wet, wrong, mostly cough. It kept going. It turned into something he had not done at his grandmother's funeral. Outside, downtown Los Angeles arrived in pink. He did not move for an hour.
Marcus drove the food truck into downtown Los Angeles at 7 in the morning with no plan, no caffeine, and the note folded into the breast pocket of his shirt. He drove the perimeter of Grand Central Market 3 times. Auguste Lemall would have known the market. The cat had once mentioned offhandedly eating at Tacos Tumbras at 3 a.m. on the night Marcus's grandmother had come home from chemo. He parked the truck on Hill Street, walked the alleys behind the market on foot for 3 hours, looked under dumpsters, into laundromats, into the open back doors of Korean grocery stores, into the storage rooms behind the carnicerias, into a flower shop where the florist had not slept in 2 days and told him, in Spanish, that she had seen an orange cat earlier. She pointed up, at a fire escape on the back of a 6-story brick building on 4th Street. Marcus climbed the fire escape. On the 3rd floor landing, in the corner where rain had stained the brick black, lay a small orange cat, not moving, not closed-eyed dead either. Eyes half open, breathing once every 6 or 7 seconds, head turned against the brick. Marcus crouched. Brisket's yellow eye tracked to him. The cat whispered. Marcus had to bring his ear within an inch of the cat's mouth to hear it. "I came here to die quietly. Imbecile. Don't make me regret it."
Get up.
"I cannot." Marcus picked him up with both hands. The cat weighed 8 pounds. He had weighed 12 a month ago. Marcus's phone rang in his pocket. "Henry."
"Marcus, Aria called me from Marseille. She has the letter. She's on a plane back. She lands in 3 hours."
In Marcus's arms, very quietly, Brisket said, "Then I am not allowed to die yet. Merde."
Henry Park's apartment, on the 7th floor of a 1920s building on Wilshire, smelled of old paper and good butter, and a kind of quiet that came from 40 years of careful living. Henry took Brisket from Marcus's hands without a word, laid him on a velvet cushion on the dining table, gave him 3 drops of broth from a silver spoon, watched the cat swallow. The cat slept. Henry led Marcus into the study. One wall, floor to ceiling, cardboard archive boxes, each labeled in young Henry's handwriting: Paris 1923, Le Monde, St. Regis, Kitchen Spirit.
All this?
Marcus, I was a food critic since I was 22. In 1969, I sat in your grandmother's kitchen at 1 in the morning, and a cat told me his name was Auguste Lemont, and the most decorated chef in Paris had been turned into a cat. I did the only thing a journalist can do. I researched.
He took down 3 boxes. At the bottom of the 3rd was a single brown manila folder. Inside, 1 piece of cream paper, in handwriting that was not Henry's, not Auguste's, and older than either. In French, cuisiner pour celui qu'on aime, devant celui qu'on n'aime pas, sans haïr. C'est ainsi qu'on rentre.
What does it say?
Cook for the one you love, in front of the one you do not love, without hate. That is how you come home.
He looked at Marcus.
This is how the curse breaks. We have been waiting 50 years for the chef who could cook it.
Marcus looked down at the page. He had heard this sentence before, in Spanish, 22 years ago, in a kitchen in Boyle Heights. Cook with hope, mijo, not with hate. 2 grandmothers, a continent apart, in 2 different centuries, saying the same thing. He sat down on Henry's study floor. From the dining table, very faintly, Brisket said,
"I have weeks left, Marcus. Aria has the letter. Tomorrow, you enter the LA Chef Showdown. Tonight, you sleep."
2 days later, Marcus stood in a check-in line at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel with a knife roll under one arm and the smell of camera lights in the lobby. The LA Chef Showdown was the 3rd largest televised cooking competition in the country and the largest on the West Coast. 48 chefs in single elimination brackets across 6 days. Winner, $250,000, a Food Network special, a seat on the James Beard nominating committee. This year, the wildcard slot had been awarded under conditions Marcus did not understand and was not asking about to a food truck on Pennsylvania Avenue in Boyle Heights. Henry had made 1 phone call, a woman he had once profiled in 1988, who now ran the entire Showdown selection committee. She had said, "Henry, you have not asked me for a thing in 35 years. Yes." Now Marcus stood in line with a 102-year-old French chef trapped in a dying cat in a vintage carrier at his feet, and Henry beside him in a silk pocket square. Aria was already in the building. She had landed at LAX 6 hours earlier, gone directly to Henry's apartment, and given Henry a leather folder and a manila envelope. Henry was carrying both, the manila envelope sealed. A staffer handed Marcus a wristband and an entry packet. He opened the bracket sheet. Round 1, Bracket A, tomorrow morning at 10. Opponent, Reese Whitcomb. Voss, Los Angeles. Marcus did not say anything. Henry exhaled.
Of course it is.
In the carrier at Marcus's feet, Brisket did not open an eye, but his small body, for the first time in 12 hours, twitched. The cat was listening.
Beat the boy first, then the master, then the family.
The studio kitchen at the Hollywood Roosevelt had been built for television. 6 identical stations, polished steel, induction burners, mise en place, pre-staged in matching white ramekins. 3 overhead camera arms tracking every chef's hands at 60 frames per second. The audience tiered, the judges at a raised long table. Reese stood at the station directly across from Marcus and did not look at him during equipment check. Marcus set the carrier with Brisket on the floor next to his station. The cat slept under a black towel. Clock started. Reese exploded into motion. Lobster, fennel pollen, vanilla bean, brown butter, a Voss-trained tasting menu opener. Marcus did not move for 90 seconds. He closed his eyes, not to see his grandmother this time, but to see himself. A week earlier, Mr. Aguirre's hands taking a clay pot from a pickup truck, the smell of toasted guajilos, his own grandmother's molcajete on the prep counter at sunrise. He opened his eyes. He pulled chicken thighs, pulled child's negros, pulled chocolate, toasted everything by hand on a comal on the burner. He did not look at Reese. He did not look at the cameras. He did not look at the cat. For 45 minutes, Marcus cooked the dish he had discovered, alone, in Boyle Heights. When the clock hit 0, Reese plated a tower of cured lobster on fennel pollen ash. It was beautiful. Marcus plated a small clay bowl of chicken in dark sauce with sesame and a single warm tortilla on the side. Genevieve LaSalle, the head judge, tasted Reese's lobster, nodded, respectful, professional, expected. She tasted Marcus's mole. She did not cry. She did not say mon Dieu. She set the spoon down quietly, passed the bowl to Yamada. Yamada tasted, passed to Awa. The 3 judges conferred in low voices. Genevieve stood, walked around the long table, crossed the studio floor, stopped in front of Marcus's station, extended one hand. Marcus shook it.
Bracket A advances Marcus Reeves. Chef Whitcomb, your lobster was excellent. Marcus's dish was honest. In this competition, honest beats excellent.
Reese, at his station across the studio floor, did not move. He looked at the empty plate, at his own untouched lobster tower, at the camera, at Marcus. His mouth opened. He did not say anything. He set down his knife, took off his apron, walked off the studio floor without speaking to the producers, the judges, or Marcus. A camera tracked him out. He did not return to the green room. But, and only Marcus and the floor manager saw this. On his way past Marcus's station, Reese tossed a small white envelope onto Marcus's cutting board. He did not slow. He did not make eye contact. He kept walking. Marcus picked up the envelope. Inside, a USB drive and a single line of text on a torn corner of a napkin. The text said, "Don't release this unless you have to. He killed my dog last year for less. Signed R." Marcus put the envelope in the breast pocket of his shirt, beside the cat's note. Brisket, in the carrier under the station, opened one eye for the first time in 2 days.
Imbecile, you have just been handed your second piece of evidence. Aria has the first. Henry has the third. Tomorrow is going to be a very long day.
Brisket, are you with me?
The cat closed his eye.
I am with you. I am also possibly dying. We will see which finishes first.
Then, after a beat, more quietly,
For the record, I would prefer the with you part to finish first. Imbecile, plat, pretje, next round.